All right. Well, hey, everybody. We are glad that you are here. If this is your very first time to PechaKucha, Knoxville, we want to tell you a little bit about it. PechaKucha is the Japanese word for chit chat. And this is a wonderful event that we do with storytelling, basically through images, 20 images at 20 seconds per image per presenter. And so that's what you're going to see tonight from 5 presenters. PechaKucha Night was established in 2003 by Astrid Klein and Mark Dytham of Klein Dytham Architecture in Tokyo, Japan. We held our first event here in Knoxville in 2011. And this is our 35th event, our 35th A. PechaKucha is now curated in 1,233 cities around the world. We are proud to be the 15th city, Knoxville, to be the 15th city to host PechaKucha online during these COVID times. Again, this is volume 35A. That A is because we decided to keep the whole event under an hour. So we're gonna have 5 presenters tonight, and then we're gonna come back a week from now on May the 21st for volume 35B with 6 more presenters. So we're excited about that. We want to give some thank yous. So first, we want to give a thank you to a very talented artist that created our poster, Megan Lingerfelt. You may know her work from murals that have been done downtown for the Downtown Knoxville Alliance, as well as the restoration of the Dolly Parton mural in Strong Alley. And so Megan, thank you so much for creating this poster, as well as the poster for next week's event. Typically now we thank our venues that we're at, and we're kind of at a strange venue tonight. So I thought we'd take a moment and thank all the venues that we've been at over the last 9 years and how they supported us. So the Mill and Mine, we want to thank you, and we look forward to Margaret's presentation tonight. The Square Room on Market Square, Barley's in the Old City, the Knoxville Museum of Art, the Bijou Theater, the Relics Variety Theater and Happy Holler, and then finally the West Jackson Workshops on West Jackson Avenue, where we held our very first PechaKucha in 2011. Oh, we also want to thank, right now we're at Lock and Key. There are 3 of us here, and all of our presenters are remote in their places. And so we want to thank Lock and Key for allowing us to utilize the technology of their space to be distant but present during this time. The last thank you I want to give is to our curators. And we've been through a bunch of different curators, but our current curators have really made a shift. We had this date of May 14th planned at the Mill and Mine 3 months ago, and we had to make a shift, both on where and how we were going to do the event, as well as what the themes would be. And so I want to thank our curators that you're going to see on screen right here. Dianna Osickey, Michael Davis, Matt Jordan, Lauren Fyfe, Carolyn Boetger, Geneva Hill, and Mary Powell. And then right before we get into our presenters, I am proud that we have a special guest in this board of stuff with us from our mothership. It is PechaKucha co-founder Mark Dytham, who is live from Tokyo. Hello, Mark.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. Hi, Knoxville. Man, it's so great to drop in to say hello to you all and congratulate you on your 35th PechaKucha night. That's amazing. I've got goosebumps, actually. It's really incredible. And although this is a really sad and difficult time around the world, it's kind of amazing how this, although we're in this moment of social distancing, how this has actually brought us all closer together, especially in the PechaKucha community. We started going on live on April the 9th, in fact. And this is, as you said, this is the 14th event. And we've made this umbrella called Inspire the World. We've held these Inspire events before. When the earthquake was in Japan, the earthquake and tsunami, we held an Inspire Japan event. And we've held them for cities like Christchurch in New Zealand after their 3 big earthquakes. We've held them for Nepal as well. And it seemed a good idea to try and inspire the world back with precisely the type of presentations which I'm sure we're going to hear tonight, about how your city has struggled and actually has begun to get through it. And there's lots of creativity and passion. And we certainly saw that after the earthquake in Japan. It was incredible how the country came together and the solutions that it made. So I'm really excited for this new era for PechaKucha. around the world. And I'm really great. I can drop in, and I'm going to try and drop in next week and make a presentation. This was being done in a couple of days, and I'm going to thank Dianna and Matthew for helping pull this together and getting the graphics sorted out instantly. It is really, really amazing. So thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you next week, and have a great night tonight. I'm going to go and speak now in St. Joseph and Benton Harbor in Michigan, because they're going to go online shortly. So it's quite a morning for me. My sound might be a bit wonky because my two kids are both on Zoom calls for their online schooling. So I'm not quite sure what the quality is like. There are 3 of us on Zoom calls from our connection. So anyway, have a great night tonight, and we'll speak to you soon. Love from Tokyo.
All right, Mark, thank you very, very much for joining us. Love from Knoxville, Tennessee. So now we're ready for our presenters. And I want you to know that during this presentation, there's some way on Facebook that people write stuff to each other. And so you'll see contact information for each of these presenters that if you want to get involved, whether as a volunteer or make a financial donation, there'll be information on how to do that. So look for that magic box that pops up on Facebook to do that. And we are ready for our first presenter. Bailey Foster with Real Good Kitchen is going to present. And Bailey, let us know when you're ready and we will start your slides.
I'm ready. For several years, I've been working on creating more space for food. I love this vision of our building on Magnolia Avenue, with our shared kitchen occupying space with other food businesses of all sizes, creating opportunities for all of us to thrive. Real Good Kitchen is founded on the belief that we can make change through food. What does that mean? This global crisis has transformed the way we think and feel about public spaces and how we interact and share experiences, including how we share food. If we want our food economy to thrive, we need to embrace that transformation. When the crisis hit, we were focused on building our kitchen facility. We had been shooting a video, trying to envision how many people we could pack into a fundraising event, pushing to get construction started. Even while I knew how fortunate we were, I needed a minute to mourn our well-laid plans. But the need for relief was immediately real. We saw folks mobilizing online, and we knew we couldn't stay on the sidelines. Congress looked as if it might act. Our team got together and made the commitment to do what we could to help. Within a few days, we had a resource page up on our website. We sponsored an early webinar just after the CARES Act passed to try to help folks begin to make sense of options. And we began working with a group organized by the Food Policy Council to mobilize for food access. I think we all have a sense of the devastation of this crisis has caused for our economy and for the food service industry in particular. But even so, the numbers are staggering. An analysis by market research and analytics firm NPD shows that 97% of restaurants in the US have been impacted by the COVID-19 crisis. The food service and beverage industry employs more than 12 million Americans. This crisis will leave very few communities untouched. A recent series of polls by the Beard Foundation found that 4 out of 5 small and independent restaurants in cities like ours that experienced shutdowns were uncertain that they would be able to sustain their businesses and reopen. The inspiration for our RGK cooking school wasn't hard to find. Literally everybody is cooking on Instagram these days. And we thought, this is something we can do. We can feature our talented and actual local cooks, provide inspiration for homemade meals, and tips to tackle more intimidating kitchen projects. We could amplify other grassroots efforts. We could collect donations to compensate the cooks who were lending their expertise, and to support relief efforts for food industry employees. Our first episode aired on April 7th on Instagram Live. People showed up to watch. We raised money. We've had 5 episodes now and have 6 more in the works. Each one has been completely different, but each one has been amazing. They've brought joy, and one of my most memorable birthday serenades, we've raised over $1,500 and continue to be humbled by the generosity of folks who want to help. If there is a glimmer of hope in all of this devastation, I see it in the community support for trusted local businesses. Three Rivers Market is an excellent community partner every day, but their focus on providing information and solutions that prioritize safety has also helped drive a 37% growth in sales since the crisis started. Nourish Knoxville remade their markets virtually overnight, changing locations and instituting strict guidelines for vendors and shoppers, all in an effort to continue connecting farmers to customers while also stepping up their focus on getting fresh food to those who need it. Locally owned businesses don't have the deep pockets of corporate chains, but they have the nimbleness to adapt in times of crisis. The values they adopt can make them resilient and are often reflected in the quality of their products. Adopo has demonstrated what's possible, completely remaking their business model while also retaining staff and paying their bills. As local food pioneer Alice Waters pointed out in a recent interview, food security depends on a local food system. This has proven to be quite literally true during this crisis, as local farmers and producers and their partners have made it possible for us to be fed safely. Local and regional food systems create resilience. They create better jobs for farm workers and those who prepare food. They keep more money in the regional economy. They help mitigate the effects of climate change. They nourish us with high quality food. And there is such joy in seeing where our food comes from. I recently ordered some flour from a regional micro mill in Asheville called Carolina Ground. They use organic North Carolina grown wheat. We are an all-woman team of millers at the moment, wrote owner Jennifer Lapidus a few days later in an email. We are multitasking and sharing the work. We are a good team. This crisis has exposed so much that is unjust and unsustainable about our food system. Good food and the real costs of producing it have been devalued and commodified. As well-intentioned as all of our relief efforts are, they are a Band-Aid on a gaping wound. None of us know how we will emerge from this crisis, but I hope that we will take this opportunity to build a more equitable and sustainable food system for the future. There are so many important things to work on, takeout packaging being just one. I hope that we as consumers will remember to invest in good food. I hope we will spend our dollars deliberately. This is a photo of the drive-in restaurant that occupied our building in the 1950s, but we cannot be nostalgic. This moment brings an opportunity to move forward along a new path that prioritizes visibility and fair wages, that provides access for everyone, and that appreciates the ways in which food sustains us. At Real Good Kitchen, we're going to keep doing all that we can to be a bridge to that more equitable and sustainable future. We're going to educate and build community, provide resources, create opportunities. We hope you'll join us on this journey. Together we can make change through food.
All right, Bailey, thank you very much for sharing about the work of the Real Good Kitchen, especially during these times. And it's going to be exciting and important to see what you do going forward. Our next presenter is Mary Kathryn Kennard with Project Be Kind. And so we're going to shoot over to Mary, and Mary Kathryn, let us know when you are ready to start your presentation.
I'm ready. So imagine a world where you have no Wi-Fi, no cell phone connections, and you're on a camping trip in the middle of the desert in West Texas. This was my family and I in spring break of 2020. We missed all of the lockdown notices. We missed the stay-at-home orders. We were in the middle of the desert, overlooking the Rio Grande, hiking and backpacking our way through Texas. We were not aware of the corona crisis. We weren't aware of what was happening. We were enjoying the views, still hugging, still touching, not wearing masks, and definitely not social distancing in our tent. This is how it all started. As we're getting home, we find out that it's COVID-19, the coronavirus pandemic. We are now staying at home. There's no more school. There's no going to the office. There's wearing masks. There's staying away from your neighbor. And more than anything, our downtown neighborhood is closing. Our restaurants are closing. Our friends are no longer there. As we take this all in on a family walk in the afternoon, we walk a desolate market square. And what do you find? Closing notices. My 9-year-old daughter looks at me and goes, "What's going to happen? What's going to happen to these restaurants?" And my 7-year-old son, Fritz, goes, "Well, feed the firefighters." And the idea goes off in my head. We have COVID, we have questions, and now in my head, I see Project Be Kind. How do you connect restaurants to get cash flow to feed firefighters or first responders? It becomes the big idea. So I call 3 of the smartest people I know, and I say, "Hey, I have an idea. Do you think this will work?" Marshall Wilkins is an owner operator of multiple franchises of Chick-fil-A. Jan Everidge is a vice president at a local bank, and Greg Johnson managed all of the real estate for Bank of America. And I was like, "Hey, I have a crazy idea. What do you think?" And they all said yes. They thought it was viable. They thought I could do it. And they were like, "Go for it." So what do? You call your favorite 4 restaurants in downtown: Oliver Royale, Yassine's Falafel House, the nicest place in America, Not Watson's, who is the best tater tots, and Cafe 4. And you say, "I have this idea. I want to feed first responders, and I want to crowdsource the funding so that you can have cash flow." And they actually said yes. They were like, "We're in. How do we help?" So Not Watson's was our first delivery to the local fire department. He served some apparently the best meatloaf they've ever had. And we were off to the races. Good food, good meals for our first responders. Well, then you need marketing. So my 9-year-old daughter, once again, is the voice of our videos and the face of Project Be Kind. And we shoot our very first homemade marketing video. And she tells us what's happening. And this is our first viral video. This is how we spread the word, through her words, asking people to help, to support local restaurants, to feed our first responders in town. Well, this video then reaches out to our first business sponsor. So now we have a business that calls us and says, "Hey, I want to pay for all of the meals going to UT Medical." And we did it. So we loaded up all of the meals. We got them to UT Medical. And this made me realize we needed a strategy meeting. This was getting big. People were coming in, donations, and businesses were calling. So then, of course, you have to have your strategy meeting with your founders, who are 7 and 9. And we talked through our details. We figured out our plan. And more than anything, we realized that we needed partners. And later that day, Sandra from Oliver Royale calls. And she's like, "I think I have some people that you need to meet." And she introduces me to Balter from Blaine Wedekind at Balter and Eric and Mandy from Knox Foodie. And let me tell you, they've been the backbone of this project. They have brought partners to the table. They helped me realize that we needed a 501c3 board, and they helped me put all of this together. So now we have a board. We're moving forward with our 501c3 application. So anyone who's donated will get a letter from the IRS from us saying they're tax deductible. And we have a board of Marshall Wilkins with Chick-fil-A, Eric and Mandy from Knox Foodie, Dana Nice from Draft Marketing, Karen Lloyd from UT Knoxville, Bill Bruce from IBI Placemaking, and Greg Johnson for strategy. All of these bring unique talents to our program and help us keep it moving forward. And then the news calls, and they want to interview 2 small kids, a 7 and a 9-year-old, and ask them about their idea. And all of a sudden, the project goes crazy. For now, we're on the news, people are listening, and we have happy restaurants and really well-fed first responders. And this is what makes Project Be Kind so great. It's Knoxville feeding Knoxville. It's Knoxville strong. This is one of our first deliveries to UT Medical. They received breakfast biscuits. And having good food, it didn't realize what they needed. I didn't realize that whole meals were such an important part to keeping everyone going and making everyone feel loved. And then you have a great staff. And this is our Project Be Kind team. And so Sandra from Oliver Royale was nice enough to feed my 7-year-old a spaghetti and meatball dinner from Oliver Royale. After he eats it, he looks at me and he goes, "Mommy, this is really good food." And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "When can I go back to Oliver Royale and have really good food?" And I was like, "Buddy, on the next special occasion, I'll make sure we go to dinner at Oliver Royale." But what that shows is that we were giving good food to these first responders. We made sure that they had well-balanced nutritional meals that kept them going. This was an opportunity to put cash flow into local restaurants so that they could share their good food with everyone on the front line. None of this is possible without good restaurant partners, but without our sponsors and our corporate sponsors. Our corporate sponsors have stepped up in ways that are unbelievable. Chick-fil-A actually made a donation to us to fund other restaurants, basically their competition, to keep other local businesses going. And a shout out to the Real Good Kitchen, because they also made a donation to fund one of our food meals. One of the things that we did, is the breadth of people we helped. We helped everyone from the Knoxville area transit's mechanics, all the way to the police officers, to the front lines people swabbing at the emergency tents. We made sure that all of our first responders were cared for and felt loved. Just today, we fed 285 people. In 6 weeks, we have fed over 1,500 meals, and we have raised over $10,000 that have gone to local restaurants and the Knoxville community. This has truly been Knoxville helping Knoxville. One thing I can tell you for sure is that not only is Knoxville kind, but we are strong.
All right. Hey, Mary Kathryn, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for those efforts. One, supporting the places that we love, those food places that we love, and we love to be there with others. So thank you for supporting them, and then for supporting our first responders and people out there. That is awesome. We are grateful. Again, for you folks watching out there, I think in your magic word box somewhere on Facebook, there's a way for you to see how to make a donation to something like Project Be Kind or Real Good Kitchen. Our next presenter I'm excited about, it's Adrienne Webster. Adrienne Webster is an accountant and does tax services for many of the local downtown establishments that we love. And she's going to tell us a little bit about what she's been going through and what they've been going through. So Adrienne, thank you very much. Let us know when you're ready.
I am ready. My name is Adrienne Webster. I own an accounting firm with 8 employees and almost 500 clients. I don't own a restaurant or a bar, but I certainly understand their financials. This is my story about the financial cluster caused by COVID-19 and the emotional roller coaster that we are all still on. First, I need to thank Alan Sims for letting me use all of his photos. On Monday, March 16th, many local businesses made the difficult decision to voluntarily close their doors in an effort to stop the spread of coronavirus. These businesses were already in a cash crunch coming out of the winter months. The decision to close was based solely on the safety of their employees and customers. That same day, downtown business owners met to share their concerns. It was apparent that only the locally owned businesses were following the city's advice to limit the number of people inside, while the larger national chains were benefiting from full dining rooms. Because there was no official government mandate to close, most stores outside of downtown were still wide open. It was almost as if the small business was being punished for acting responsibly. As a group, we came up with a list of concerns, including employee layoffs, unemployment claims, tax freezes, loan funding, and how to best reach our legislators. It was terrifying, but somehow it was also beautiful. Everyone was so open and honest about their cash flow and how long they could afford to stay closed. Many stood to lose everything, literally everything. No one knew how long this would last and if the government was going to help. Would the state let us pay sales tax late? What about payroll tax? Did small business owners file unemployment for themselves? Meanwhile, food inventory was spoiling, bank accounts were being drained, and we were all trying our best to navigate the mass layoff process. Mass layoffs, really? How did we get here? The conversation was dominated by talk of separation notices, an already overloaded unemployment website, and the uncertainty of the reopening timeline. Employees. The true backbone of any small business is their employees. And the hardest task that any business owner has to make is laying off their entire staff. How soon would they receive unemployment benefits? Would it be enough for them to pay their bills? Did they know that we didn't have a choice? Meanwhile, the SBA announced the EIDL loans that would provide immediate cash flow for small business. It took over a week for Tennessee to become eligible. Although the application was cumbersome and required mountains of information, we all pressed forward. We gathered tax returns and operating agreements while also trying to navigate the newly designed curbside menus, operating hours, running yoga classes online, and promoting gift card sales. After days of scrambling, lots of tears, a whole lot of wine, the SBA finally released the streamlined application and announced the EIDL Advance. This was a grant, it didn't have to be paid back. All you had to do was check a little box, input your bank information, and within 3 days, you would magically receive $10,000. Hallelujah, the government was actually gonna step in and help. Well, the 3 days came and went, then a week came and went, then 2 weeks. No $10,000. Businesses had now been closed for over 3 weeks. No one we knew had received any money or even an email that their EIDL loan was being processed. Then, on March 27th, the CARES Act. The CARES Act was over 335 pages of delightful government jargon to sort through. It's a lot of fun. The highlight for small business owners? PPP loans. 2.5 months of payroll, rent, and utilities. Was it too good to be true? The EIDL loans were certainly too good to be true. Maybe the PPP loans would actually work and small businesses would be saved after all. It took about a week for the program to launch, and I think I cried every single day that week. I won't tell you how much wine I consumed. There were about 5 of us that stayed up all night on April 2nd. That was the day before the PPP program was set to go live. At 6 p.m. that night, the Treasury finally issued guidance on the loans and how the banks were supposed to process them. Although it was vague, Section 2, Item M was not. It simply read, is the PPP first come, first serve? The answer was yes. It was a race for the money and there was not enough to go around. We worked all night, running payroll reports, gathering 941s, 940s, 1099s, W-2s, trying our best to understand the loan calculations. In the morning, we were bombarded with clients forwarding loan applications from their banks. There were 12 different banks, 12 different ways to calculate the loan, 12 different document request lists, and none of it was in line with what we had studied the past week. By noon that day, some banks had changed their loan calculators 3 to 4 times, and the SBA had changed the PPP application at least twice. Nobody knew what to do. To make it worse, many banks were opting out of the PPP program, and the participating banks were only accepting applications for current account holders. I, along with half of my clients, were turned down by literally every bank in this town. That was rock bottom for over half of us. We couldn't even make it to the starting line in the race for the PPP money. However, almost through luck, we discovered Citizens National Bank and their superhero, Lisa Young. Lisa was willing to work with any business. No joke, she saved over half of my clients. I think we need to name a road after her, or at least make sure that she never has to pay for a drink or a meal in this town. Lisa stuck with it, cranking out PPP applications. Most of them had to be redone at least twice because the SBA was releasing new guidance daily, sometimes hourly. Then the inevitable, the PPP money ran out. Oh, and also self-employed people were still not even eligible to apply for unemployment benefits. 5 weeks after the closures, it was time to get political. I managed to get Tim Burchett's cell phone number. I called him so much that he answers the phone, hey girl. 1,000 phone calls later and 6 sleepless nights, Congress finally approved more funding and the program was up and running again. The big banks are still mucking it up, but Lisa at CNB is rocking and rolling. She has processed loans for my clients that range from $300,000 to only $3,000. Anyway, it seems to be working now. businesses have slowly been rehiring and preparing to reopen. Although no one is really out of the weeds yet, many seem to be turning a corner. At least from a cash flow perspective, they can cover payroll and rent. Many have been able to adapt and operate safely. But now we have to focus on loan forgiveness. We have to get these loans forgiven. The program doesn't work if we don't. The SBA still has not issued guidance on what the forgiveness calculators will look like, so we're just going with what we have. As I reflect on the last 2 months, the 100-hour work weeks, the tears, the sleepless nights, I am so impressed with the business owners in this town being so willing to share their fears with each other and to help each other. I'm so impressed with all of my clients who have managed to stay positive even when I was the one in tears. I'm impressed with Lisa Young at CMB and how she's gone out of her way to help the smallest business. I'm impressed with my friend and client, Margaret Stolfi, and her drive to conquer the PPP and her mad spreadsheet skills. The victory that we will have when this is all over is that we survived together. We were crushed, we cried, but then we adapted and modified. We got really creative with our business models. We are still adapting, we are still modifying, we are still waiting on guidance from the SBA. We still don't know when we'll be operating at 100%. So some final pieces of advice. 1, if you have a PPP loan, you will have to consult your accountant and your bank to ensure forgiveness. 2, research daily. The Treasury guidance is pretty easy to read, but it's updated every few days. And 3, Google is not your friend. Only read websites that end in .gov because everything else is just someone's opinion. Hang in there, y'all. We got this.
Adrienne, thank you very much for sharing the backstory that a lot of the places that we love and adore of what they're having to go through. And thank you for helping them navigate these waters. We are grateful for you. Our next presenter is Margaret Stolfi with the Mill and Mine, which is where we plan to be tonight, which we are not, but I think Margaret is there. Margaret, let us know when you're ready to start, and we look forward to it.
I'm ready to go. So hey everyone, I am Margaret Stolfi. My day-to-day title is GM the Mill and Mine, you know, where this event is usually held. If you're watching, you've probably been here. My husband and all-around partner is Chef Jesse Newmister. We have 2 restaurants, Taco Taco and Kaizen, and we are one of Adrienne Webster's 500 clients. And I have to tell you, we would definitely be dead in the water without her. My goal of this presentation is to pick up where Adrienne left off and talk about some of the challenges my small business has faced from our perspective and what our immediate and long-term future looks like. And just full disclaimer, I submitted this presentation a week ago. Things change hourly, daily. The me from last week knew the me speaking now would probably have to change my presentation, but hopefully my pretty pictures and slides still hold up. So Adrienne said some of this, but it needs to be said again. Lisa Young at Citizens National Bank saved Kaizen. I can't include a picture of her because I don't have a clue what she looks like. My regions rep knows barely knows what the PPP is and has referred to Kaizen more than once as Crazen. I've been a regions customer for 15 years and I've been a CMB customer for about 5 days. So the good, the bad, and the TBD, kind of the PPP. The good, we got it. Both of our businesses received a PPP. That's awesome. We can pay our employees for at least 8 weeks. We can pay our rent, at least half of it. And we've got some money in the bank. We've got some cash flow. Then the bad, kinda. You have the loan, but then comes some gray areas. There's a simple but difficult question. Do I make my employees work? Am I providing a safe environment for them? Should they wear a mask? Should they not wear a mask? Okay, yes, I definitely need them to work some for my business to succeed. But what do they earn versus what do they get paid for in the next 8 weeks? And how do I treat everyone fairly? Oh, there's this other thing too. Currently, those on unemployment receive an additional $600 per week of federal money on top of the state's $275 per week cap. I mean, that's great. $275 is bullshit. No one can live on that. But what happens when employees don't want to come back to work because they're making $875 a week, and even my shiny new PPP can't pay them that much because they didn't make that much beforehand? So my answer, every business is different. The point of the PPP is to get people off unemployment, and that's exactly what we did. We hired our people back, but every business is different, and please don't judge any certain business for their decisions. I have 2 small restaurants, yet I've realized just how different they are in their needs. There's no one-size-fits-all solution for everyone. We're trying our best to balance ethics versus what's best for our people and best for our business all at the same time. So forgiveness, the PPP saved us, but it will break us if it isn't forgiven. I have genuine concern for the small businesses out there that are in the small boat and don't have someone like Adrienne to guide us. So there's 3 important pieces to know. 1, you have to spend your money in 8 weeks. 2, you have to restore your full-time equivalents by June 30th. And 3, you have to pay your employees at least 75% of what they were making before. So here are my tips. Step 1, read the SBA guidance from the SBA website and read it again next week and the following week because it's going to change. 2, know your measuring periods. If you don't know what I mean by that, you need to go to step 1 or find somebody who has. And 3, make a spreadsheet. I do love them. Need help? Email me and I will happily send you mine. So moving from current to future, reopening, when, how, some decisions are easier than others. Kaizen has 9 tables, super tiny. We cannot open in phase 1. It's just not possible. Taco, hard maybe. We have a really big patio and it's really nice outside right now. Ask me tomorrow. Maybe I'll have an answer for you, but I don't today. But we're just focusing on fresh starts. For those of you not in the loop, Kaizen is moving locations. Early COVID, Jesse and I had to make the scary financial decision to double down and continue our pre-COVID plans. Here's your PechaKucha exclusive look at the new Kaizen space in progress. The next time you eat in Kaizen and not to go, it may likely be here. Is it the best or the worst timing ever? We don't know, but we got fresh floors, fresh start, and whatever that is. So New York will certainly have a new normal, but will Knoxville? Often things have to get personal before we make personal change. How few degrees of separation between us and people affected by COVID medically and not just economically must there be before we make changes in our personal lives? And I'm not sure I want to witness the answer to that. So the venue, so much focus on the restaurants, but what about this 20,000 square feet behind me? Well, if you want to have more than 100 people at your event, it's probably going to be a minute. That would be phase 4, and the city doesn't have a phase 4. There are no curbside events. Our venue hasn't had $1 of event income since March. And I really feel for those missing out on their important milestones that they have in venues like ours because they fell during COVID, from proms to weddings. Personal example, my mom was set to retire on June 26th of this year, the day before her 70th birthday. Instead, her 50 years of work came to an unceremonious end when her dental office had to close. But Mom, if you're listening, I'm really proud of you. And we'll still have your retirement party, I promise, next year. Concerts. So concerts were the first to be shut down and will be the last to emerge for good reason. When's the next time you want to stand in a crowded room, and will you be able to afford a concert ticket or my $6 beer when that time comes? Tours also need routing to work financially. You can't go from Nashville to Knoxville to Asheville. They may not be able to go at all, but please hold on to your concert tickets until we reschedule. We will get there. So I want to circle back a little bit before I finish. Another reason we need to pay our employees is that they are a cog in our local economy. They are the regulars for the businesses around us. To move forward, support and sharing is vital. Every business is connected and we all rely on each other. Accountants like Adrienne rely on restaurants, restaurants rely on customers, customers rely on employers, et cetera, et cetera. And these kinds of things or have connectivity affects our decisions every day. What bills do I pay? What employees does that company have to pay off if I don't pay those bills? Even when we're all treading water at best, we have to prop each other up. But good news, Knoxville is pretty damn good at that already. So we've been adapting for weeks and it isn't over yet. And that's going to be the continuing theme. We have lots to think about. Our adaptation will have to be constant. New processes, new menus, new table configurations, sanitation. Things like that. Can curbside and dine-in work cohesively in the same space? Can they work cohesively in the same space? All the things, we're just getting started, but fair warning, it's going to be different. As we adapt, we just ask that you keep an open mind and adapt with us. Our menus might change all the time. We might run out of things. Our phones, you might have to call us a couple of times before we pick up the phone because we only have one phone line. But just as you adapt, be patient and understanding. We wish we could blink and things be the same too, but they just aren't. And we need people to be flexible with us. And my last soapbox, moving forward, we just ask too that you know who represents us. Knowing who represents you will be all the more important. In just a second, I'm a little ahead. It's going to be a slide that shows you your U.S. and House state representative. These are the offices I blew up on the phone, not literally, about a second round of PPP funding because Kaizen was not able to get theirs before time ran out. Different change will need to be made by different people. And I just ask that you educate yourself on who makes what calls. Resharing on Facebook is great and all, but when we ask for help, go to the people who represent you and not just the people who follow you on social media. Thanks, guys.
Margaret, thank you very much for sharing. One, your content was awesome, and please let Jesse know that he's a good presenter, but wow, you're a good presenter. So thank you for sharing about that, and we are going to do our best to be patient, but look forward to getting back together at the Mill and Mine and other venues for concerts when the time is right. And that leads into our last presenter tonight, who is Rusty Odom. Rusty is with Blank Newspaper, helps us find music places and actually produces some of those things. So Rusty, let us know when you are ready to go.
I'm ready to rock. All right. Hey, first of all, I just want to say I'm blown away by everybody else's presentations. I'm honored to be a part of this. So I'm Rusty Odom. This is me on the dressed up as Princess Leia. This was part of Second Bell Sofa Soiree, which is something we put together for local musicians and local businesses, because as Margaret was talking about, we can't do it live right now. We'll come back to that slide. This is kind of where it started for me. This is Kevin Mackey. He had this paper called The Open Vibe a long time ago. We did crazy stuff. It was kind of like a local Onion. He kind of got me into the newspaper game and was a big fan of music. And so he basically told me that I needed to start my own paper after an argument. So he showed me how to do it. This is Wanquin from the Flaming Lips. This was taken at Bonnaroo, which was 2 months before the first issue. So we waited a little while. And then we also found out that the Morse code said slank and not blank. So we ended up having to fix that a couple of years into it. But we were growing, we were figuring things out. So we caught a little bit of steam here when I was able to sit down with Bill Landry, the Heartland series. When that show ended, he sat down with me and we were able to kind of get an exclusive with that. And then we also got an interview with Ashley Capps for the 10-year anniversary of Bonnaroo. And people started paying attention to what we were doing a little bit more. And then this happened. Steve Wildsmith and Wayne Bledsoe came on board. This is them at a rap battle at the Pilot Light. They usually wear their shirts. I usually don't. So it's a little bit of a role reversal, but they really took the paper to a whole new level. And so we've got a great family there now. And then kind of the final part of our growth was we started the readers poll, which is actually going on right now if anybody would like to participate. Right now is a great time to celebrate all the great things you love about town. If you go to blanknews.com, the readers poll is up. You can vote for everything under the sun, basically. So yeah, that's if you got a little time, that might be something cool to do. Wait a second. Is that Dr. Anthony Fauci playing basketball? How did that get in here? All right, well, while we're here, Fauci at Regis High School averaged 10.8 points a game his senior season. He was the captain. And, it just made me think people are interested in more than one thing sometimes. So I was like, man, I like music. This paper's going pretty well. Why don't I book some music? So with the help of Jimmy Buckner and the Bijou Theater, we put together Fish Stock. And the first band I ever booked was the Dirty Governors. So I got that one right, that's for sure. They're still one of my favorites and I love everybody in that band, but I kind of got the bug, so it was over. Then unfortunately, Phil Pollard passed away very unexpectedly, and I was going to put together a show for him. And the people at Waynestock reached out and said, why don't we join forces? And so that's how I got into the festival game. And it's one of the best things that's ever happened to me. Yeah, there's Phil. And then that led to Blankfest. I've done too many of these things. Blankfest on Market Square. This is the first year, I think it was 2014. This is Moon Taxi. This was with the help of Bernadette and Scott West. They kind of helped me cut my teeth on all this stuff along with the Waynestock folks. And I was, at this point, as you can see, I was really, really blown away by just the fact that we could pull something off. And then that led to Second Bell. This is at Suttree Landing Park. This is the current festival that we've been working on the last 3 years. I think it was the first park that Knoxville built in 12 years at the time of it opening. And we're having a good time with it. we'll see if we can pull it off again and when that happens. So going back to Kevin Mackey earlier, unfortunately, he passed away when we were planning the first Second Bell. And so I told him in the hospital, I was like, man, I'm going to do something nice for you. I hope you could see it in person. Unfortunately, he didn't make it, but I'm a big fan of finding ways for people to live forever. And so this stage will always be the Mackey stage at Second Bell. And then this is just a very small portion of the team that makes this happen. It's a good looking bunch, but they're, you know, as all the people who've ever done anything cool, you realize that you can't do anything by yourself, and you have to be willing to ask for help and realize that you don't know everything, and you got to trust people to do the things that they're great at. So these people deserve more credit than anything. Here's Second Bell. This was in between sets. I believe that's Illiterate Light setting up last year. So we were really looking forward to doing it this year. We were actually going to go to 2 days. I didn't even get a chance to announce that, I don't believe, which in comparison is no big deal, obviously. But we had big plans for this year, and obviously those got put on hold. So that's where the Sofa Soiree comes in. We decided that we were going to make an all local online music festival where there would be links to give to the performers. And we also had links to give to local businesses and servers and bartenders as well. We ended up raising about $5,000. I was very surprised and just so proud. Here's the schedule and the lineup. We tried. There were so many bands that reached out that want to be a part of it, not only just from Knoxville, but other areas as well. We decided to make it all Knoxville, and I'm so glad we did. It was all with the help of Lock and Key Productions. They're the ones that deserve the most credit there. So here's an example. This is Kudzuku. It's a new band here in town. This is a video that Corey, lead singer, was able to put together. Just kind of gives you an example of kind of how it looked. You can see the Venmo down at the bottom so that people could donate. And like I said, there were actually links for people to click on. So we tried to make it very convenient on the viewers. And then here's Todd Steed. I'm sure a lot of you all recognize him. He chose just to donate his time and steered people towards donating to WUOC. So we had several performers and comedians. We even had a magician, and they did similar things to Todd in this way. So it went well. We had about 11,000 people watch, and this is where we're going to be again. This is going to be very soon. You know, it's just on the other side of the hill. We're going to be able to dance again. We're going to be able to be together again, and we're going to be able to do it just like this beautiful young lady is right here. It's just right around the corner. We just got to be kind to each other and be patient for a little while longer. And then coming full circle, this is the end of it. This is just pure joy. You know, I'm just so grateful that we have this kind of talent in this town to be able to put something like this together. I hope everyone's soul is at ease. And if it's not, it will be soon. Just know that we're all going through this, but we also all have to grow through this. So thank you.
Rusty, thank you very much. That was great. Are we still live? Oh, good. Well, I just can't see myself. Hey, everybody, thanks for coming out tonight. Want to remind you that a week from tonight, we'll be back for another hour of these presentations with 6 more presenters, including Mark Dytham from Tokyo, Japan, one of the co-founders of PechaKucha. So we will be back on May 21st, same time. There's also an application in the link. So I think that, there you go. If you are interested in presenting at a future PechaKucha, that right there, that group of words is what you would put into a machine, and it'll take you to a form where you can fill out an application. We're glad you came. We miss you and look forward to being together again. Have a good night.